Hi, I'm Sam Alexander, a Senior IT Specialist with IBM Software Services for Collaboration. This video demonstrates how you can build Domino portlets with IBM Web Experience Factory 8. We'll start off by taking a look at the Domino database that we have. It's a very simple sales order database where sales orders are captured in the database, and you have data such as the name, an employee ID, a title, the amount, the order ID, and the date ordered. This is the view, and if we open up one of the documents, we can see that same detail for the document. And notice how each of the documents also contains a photo of the product that the person has ordered. This is a very simple database, and it's intentionally kept simplistic just to show you how it works. And with that, we can look at how do we build a portlet for WebSphere portal that surfaces as Domino data. I'll now pull up Web Experience Factory Designer. Web Experience Factory Designer allows you to build your applications in a model-based paradigm where you assemble components called builders to construct your application. And you'll see some examples of this in just a moment. And you can also add in your custom Java code and your custom JSP code if you like. And with general best practices of software development, it allows you to separate your service layer from your UI model. So I'm going to start off by creating a model to be my service layer. I'm going to select, right-click my models folder and select a new Web Experience Factory model. Now, I can start with an empty model, or there's some out-of-the-box wizards that help get me started. And one such wizard is this Domino Service Provider that allows me to quickly enter in some information about my Domino server and select the Domino database, and it will create me a service layer. I'm going to call my service layer Sales Order. I'm going to click Next. Right now, Web Experience Factory knows about my Domino server, so it has gone out and queried the Domino server to find a list of databases available on the Domino server. My sales order database is salesorder2.nsf. I'm going to select that. And when I select that database, it populates this drop-down menu with a list of views available in that database. If you remember from the previous screen, I had only one view, View Sales Orders. And I select that. I'm also going to want support for getting the details of a document, so I'm going to check in this input here. And the next input allows me to select the form for which the documents in the view are based off of. And I'm going to select the sales order form. Each of the documents in this view are using the sales order form. I'm going to click Next. Here, the wizard is prompting me if I want to make this a service layer, if I want to make this service public so that I can consume it in other user interface models. I'm going to select Yes. And I'm also going to select this input, Add Testing Support, which allows me to test my service layer before I actually use it in a consumer model. Finally, I'm prompted to provide a name for my model that's going to be my service layer. I'm going to call it Sales Order Provider. And I'm going to click Finish. And what Web Experience Factory has done is that it has created me a provider model that I'm highlighting on the left, and it has down below in the outline, there's one builder called the Domino Data Access Builder, and if I open that up, it has gone ahead and filled out all the inputs that allow me to connect and interact with Domino data. This particular Domino Data Access Builder is pointing to the salesOrder2.nsf. It's using the view called View Sales Orders, and I want document support to get the details of a document, and the form that my documents are based off of are called Sales Order. I'm going to go ahead and check in one extra input here that we'll use later. Retrieve rich text items as HTML. When this is selected, the builder will get rich text items in Domino and surfaces them as rich text in your web application. What's happened now is that Web Experience Factory has created a service layer. In Web Experience Factory Designer, I can take a look in my web app here, and I can see that I have services for creating, retrieving, updating, and deleting documents, and I have a service for reading the view data. It's called Read Table. And when you call Read Table, you're going to get back a list of a row set row structure where every row has the same fields as in our Domino document. The Web Experience Factory Domino Data Access Builder goes out to Domino and it looks at the views and it looks at the forms that you're using, and it pulls this information across so that you can use it in your application. If you remember, I enabled testing support just a moment ago, and so what the Web Experience Factory Domino Data Access Builder has done is it's created me a service layer that I can use to test my service. So this allows me just to run my model, and it's going to show me all of the services that you see here, and I can call them to test them out to make sure that they work. This is the test harness that Web Experience Factory has created for me. I'm going to call Read Table, and this is just the raw data that is coming back from Domino and that is available in my service layer. I'm going to select one of these unique IDs, and I'm going to just check to make sure my Read Table operation that you see back here, read document and read document, I'm going to make sure that works. I'm going to paste in that unique ID of the Domino document, and I can see that Web Experience Factory can successfully get the data from my Domino database. I'm satisfied now that my service layer is complete. Now I'm going to turn to creating a UI. Similar to the way I built the service layer, I'm going to right-click my UI folder here and create a new Web Experience Factory model. Once again, I'm going to use an out-of-the-box wizard that will prompt me for some inputs and create me a model with a set of builders already configured for me. Again, I could start with an empty model and create the builders manually, but this time I'm going to use a wizard that will get me started. I'm going to select a wizard called the Multi-Channel List and Detail. Multi-channel means I'm creating a web application that I want to run as a portlet on Portal in a standard desktop browser, and I want it to also be to look good and to be usable on devices such as tablet devices and smartphones. So that's the term we're using for multi-channel: traditional desktop, smartphone, and tablet. The list and detail part means I'm going to initially show a list of data, and when you click on one of the items in the list, I'm going to show detail. So therefore we have multi-channel list and detail. This is a new wizard that's available in the Web Experience Factory feature pack for 8.0, available on the Web Experience Factory wiki. When I select this wizard, it's prompting me for a name. I'm going to call it Sales Orders again. And the first thing it's asking me is, where am I going to get my data? I'm going to use the ellipsis button here. I'm going to use the ellipsis button here to select my provider model that I just created in the previous section. This is the same provider model with the Domino Data Access Builder that's shown in the background. I'm going to select that because this is where my UI is going to get its data from. And I'm also going to select this input to deploy this model as a portlet for WebSphere Portal. Don't forget, Web Experience Factory can also generate applications that run on standalone WebSphere, but in this case we want our application to run as a portlet. I'll also provide the portlet title, and I'll call it Sales Orders. And now the wizard is saying, for the list and details, for the list part, where do you want to get the data from? I'm going to select that Read Table service that the Domino Data Access Builder created for me, and I'm going to select Next. And the wizard, with the list and details pattern, usually you click on a link to details, so I'm going to enable that. And when I click on the link, what field do I want to click on to actually get the details for the document? I'm going to select the name field. If you remember in our Domino database, there's a name field up here. Now, the wizard is also prompting us, when you click on a item in the list to get the details, where do you want to get the data from? We want to display data from another operation in this service. In other words, when you click on the details, I want to call read document. And that is the operation automatically created by the Domino Data Access Builder. Web Experience Factory senses that this operation takes an input, and it does, so I'm going to specify that whenever this row is clicked, I'm going to pass the unique ID of the Domino document to read document. Now, here's where it gets interesting. It is showing me all the fields that are going to show up in the portlet, and it's giving me a chance here to, for the first time, to do things with these fields. For instance, we never want to see the Domino document unique ID because it's just a really long string that's not really usable. We're just using it for plumbing. So I'm going to hide that. I could also, if I wanted to, for the amount, I could do things like, for display, I want the amount field to show as currency in this format. I can go ahead and do that here. Now, I'm not, if I want to go change these, I can do it later. It's just prompting me right now to do them. We can come back to this later. I'm going to click Next. Now, the Web Experience Factory comes with several layout templates out of the box, or you can work with a front-end developer in your organization to come up with your own layout templates with CSS and HTML5, and they can be incorporated in Web Experience Factory. Here I'm going to select one of the ones out of the box, and I'm going to select thumbnail multi-line list for Feature Pack 8.0. And when I do that, it's asking me to fill in the values, my data fields, into these named sections in the layout template. So I'm going to select left top. In the left top section of the template, I'm going to select name. In the left middle in the template, I'm going to select title. Finally, in the right top and the right middle section, I'm going to select the status and the amount. These are the only 4 fields that I want to show at first. Finally, I'm prompted for the model name. I'm going to call it Sales Order UI. And I'm going to click Finish. Once again, when I do this, Web Experience Factory generates me a model called SalesOrderUI.model, and by default I have some builders already configured for me. If in Web Experience Factory Designer I can see what my application is going to look like. This is the view page that will be initially presented in the portlet, and this is the details page that will show whenever I click on one of the items in the list. Now, Web Experience Factory is designed to be used in an iterative fashion, so I've got enough to get started. So I'm going to run my application standalone and test it out a little bit to see if it's working. And so far, everything looks good. Once again, in my data layout template, remember how we selected a template called multi-line list? Each line in the list has several lines in it, and I can map fields to certain places in that template. Remember, left top is where I place the name, and left middle is where I place the title. This is the left top, and this is the left middle. This is the right top, and this is the right middle. There's other sections in the template where I could have placed things, such as an icon and other fields, but I'm just keeping it simple, so that's what this looks like. Before going on, I quickly want to show you the layout template. This is an example of a Web Experience Factory layout template, and without getting too far into the details, this section that I have highlighted represents the repeating row. Each one of these rows of data adheres to this template, and you can see that I have divs with named elements for the left top, left middle, left bottom, and this is where I was mapping fields to the right top and the right middle. And you can see that they are also using CSS styles here. Again, you can work with your front-end developer at your organization to come up with your own template, and you can use it inside of Web Experience Factory and map the data into the named elements in your template like I have here. And this is a template that comes out of the box with Web Experience Factory. So I quickly wanted to show you, we've been testing this standalone, I quickly wanted to show you how I could go in and in an iterative fashion make changes to my application. I can, for instance, I can show if I decide I wanted to show the unique identifier, I could just make a change and save it. Now I'm showing the UNID. When I rerun this, now the unique ID is showing in my application. I want to quickly show you how this looks when you're running it as a portlet. This is the same application running as a portlet. By default, Web Experience Factory has partial page refresh. Now, let me log out and log back in. I lost my session. This is the same application running as a portlet. Notice when I do the pagination, which is, pagination is a feature that comes out of the box with Web Experience Factory, and with very little configuration you can configure it. When I click the next button, only the portlet itself is changing. It's using the partial page refresh feature of Web Experience Factory. And when I open up the application, I get the details of the document. I don't have time to show you the multi-channel aspects of this, as the intended purpose of the demonstration was to demonstrate how Web Experience Factory integrates with Domino data. And this gives you a good idea. By the way, this feature of Web Experience Factory, the Domino data access integration feature, depends on a couple of things to be running on your Domino server. This particular builder, Domino data access, requires Domino DIIOP, which is Corba, and it also requires the Domino HTTP server. There are other ways to integrate with Domino, not shown in this demonstration, and that is using Domino's ability to provide JSON data as a RESTful service that's available in 8.5.3 of Domino. And if you enable that feature in Domino, you can use Web Experience Factory's REST integration to surface that data. That's all we have time for this demonstration. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.